So, Amanda.
Yes.
Let's remind the good people. You remember back in season 2, that episode we did when Biden won, whoop whoop, and I shared the TikTok video of the guy who was explaining to the girl that she wasn't getting bullied. Instead, she was just saying really dumb stuff, and she was getting called on it.
Absolutely, yes. You're not getting bullied.
Mm-hmm. You're just picking a fight and losing that fight. So then, it was really good.
It was so good.
So then, from there, Amanda and I became super fans of this guy's TikToks. This guy is Austin Archer. Austin Archer is a podcaster, actor,
musician.
Really, yep, and masterful TikToker. And from tagging him in our interactive story, we then started chatting back and forth, and it was just like, hey, want to come on the show? And that's how this happened. So Austin was a guest on our show, spent a lovely, good hour with us talking about, where he came from and how he came to be. And so it's kind of like the thing we do, strangers interviewing strangers and then kind of becoming friends. We're just doing that with a third party now. So if you like that guy's TikToks, and I think you probably do, because we probably converted many of you to his work, enjoy this episode. It's Imperfect Strangers featuring Austin Archer. We should introduce you, Austin, because here's the thing. Technically, because of the nature of our show, you are a total stranger. So this is still going to work out. However, because you ended up in one of our interactive stories, because you were mentioned casually on a podcast many weeks ago, we connected, as is the nature of the internet, because we tagged you. Because we're old and we're learning that tagging works, honey.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And so through tagging you, now we're all kind of friends. So this is like a perfect example of how Stranger Friends works. So if you just got here and you're listening, this is actually our pal. His handle say your pal, but it's our pal, Austin Archer. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself more, because I was about to say this is Austin Archer, and quite frankly, we don't really know nothing about him. But here he is.
That's a great introduction. That's kind of been my last year and a half of my life, is just meeting people online and having these relationships across state lines and across, where I talk to people on Zoom who I've never met before in real life. So your podcast does speak to me in that way, because I've been meeting people a lot through the internet content creation game. And that's sort of my game. That's sort of my bag. That's what I do. I make videos and songs on the internet, and I used to do it just for fun, and now it's my job, which is weird. But yeah.
It's not weird because you're really good at it.
Well, we were talking, was it last week or something, and we were talking about, the nature of Close But No Cigar as it relates to, fame or notoriety, or just, in general, being recognized for the work that you're producing. And as we were talking about this, I was like, wait a minute. Did you see Austin's latest TikTok? And she was like, no, hold on. And so I sent it to her, and she watched it, and she was like, holy shit, I recognize this now as an adult, but this only took me an entire lifetime to figure out. And I'm referring to the TikTok about, being famous and how it's just a big fucking lottery, in getting recognized.
Super successful. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I was I don't understand how he can take very complex ideas or things that would take me 15 pages of a dissertation to explain and distill it down to 20, 30, 60 seconds. And it lands so well every single time.
Girl, not just 60 seconds, but 60 seconds with wardrobe changes and lasers. I'm like, what? who is this person? You're like Mariah Carey on that level where you have just a grasp of language, words that shouldn't be in songs, but they're songs. Like, this is an amazing compliment because I'm a lamb for life. So she sent it to me, and I immediately was like, this is 60 seconds of the memoir I've always wanted to write, called Close But No Cigar, comma, a memoir.
I love that. I want to read it.
Tell us how you do it.
I don't know. I had a lot of people in the comments be like, I never thought I wanted to hear the phrase capitalistic hierarchical framework in a song, but I guess I did. You know, I don't know. I think that that's part of the magic of TikTok, is that people are finding ways to condense a big thought into 60 seconds or less. And you'll see this all the time where people will like be in the comments and be like, no way that was 60 seconds, because it felt like 10 minutes. Like, it felt like you said like, and you'll see this with just people who are just talking, not even singing. They'll like somehow fit a very thick, long, well thought out argument in 60 seconds. And obviously it doesn't cover everything. You just can't cover the fullness of the argument, but it's like so impressive how people can be so concise. And then I think you add music into that equation, and it just helps even more, because if you put everything on a rhythm and you have everything landing on beats, it just feels like it lands so much more in a satisfying way. Like, I don't think that I would ever use the phrase to describe white privilege. I don't think that I would ever say white colonial privilege. I don't think I would ever say that. But in a song, it fits the meter. And then I also get to talk about colonialism and colonizing and like wrap that in there. But I wouldn't necessarily say the phrase white colonial privilege. I just needed those beats. I needed to fill that in. And so and putting that into one phrase allows me to say a lot more with just, 3 words. And that's music. You can really like fit a lot of ideas into.
No, it's masterful. And wait, sorry, just real quick, how old are you again? If you don't
I'm
mind
33.
asking?
I'm old enough.
Okay, a tiny baby. Look at this little zygote. Amanda, look at this little zygote we invited onto the show. No, it's masterful because like I'm thinking about like when Twitter first came out and you were limited to 140 characters, and nobody really knew like as a medium what that was going to be. But you be on there long enough and your attention span changes, and the way your brain works changes, and the way you pull words to create tweets to make a statement in 140 characters or less. It's that, but like the musical viral picture form. So it's like an amalgamation of Twitter meets Instagram story meets I don't know what, but you are doing it.
I think that's a really good point. I think it started on Twitter. I think the idea of condensing your argument down to something really tight, it couldn't really be done on Vine. Vine was 6 seconds, and so it was just jokes on Vine. But Twitter was like a place where people were like, let me and obviously threads exist, but it was still like, let me think of how I can like say this in the most concise, clear manner possible. And that's not a bad, brevity is the soul of wit.
I love it. I love Twitter.
Yeah.
I love Twitter. And so seeing you take that skill, because it's a skill set to be able to encapsulate really big ideas in tiny, tiny, tiny packages and quickly and with humor at the same time. Like, the shit you're talking about is heavy stuff, but I'm sitting there cracking up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you this, because the nature of this show is, Melissa and I getting to know each other, and we have done that so far now over 40 episodes. We know you as, I would say that I am an Austin Archer stan if I'm going to, appeal to the youths. So obviously we really enjoy the things that you're putting out, and I would like to know more about how did we get to McDonald's Austin Archer making amazing TikTok videos? Like, were you always this kid? Were you always creative and writing, or did this kind of evolve over time?
I was always this kid, but I've had to always had to practice at it. And that's the thing about that song that you talked about too, is it's like I've had some people in the comments get a little testy because they're like, well, I worked really hard for what I have. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm not saying that you didn't, like no one's trying to take away your hard work from you when we say acknowledge the role that fortune and luck and random circumstance play in your success. Like no one's trying to take away your work ethic or your talent or anything like that. But I'm a person who, I've been writing songs for close to 20 years, and I still feel like I'm always learning new things about it. And I meet people who are like 20 years old who are writing songs that are 10 times better than anything I could ever dream of. And I'm like, okay, so there's some level of like natural acumen that I maybe don't have, and I need it. It's taken a lot of practice. But yeah, I've always been this person. I've always been obsessed with being an artist. It's what I always wanted to be. When I was a little kid, I was obsessed with like Monet and Van Gogh and Degas. Like those were like my heroes when I was like a little kid. I had all these like art books, then I would like read about them and learn about their lives. And I wanted to be an artist and wanted to be an actor, and I was always an actor as a little kid. And like went to my parents when I was 10 years old and was like, I want an agent. I want to be on TV. I want to do commercials and stuff. And they were like, okay, we don't know how to do that. And I was like, cool, I'll figure it out. We'll find someone. And, I think I found the agency and like told my mom, I was like, talk to these people. I want to go here. And, so yeah, I've always done this stuff. But I was talking to my niece about this last night. I was like, cause she goes, I want to be an actor. And I was like, well, you just have to do it a lot. And that's been my experience with acting and with writing music and with writing in general. Is for me, it never quite was like that. I did it and I was brilliant. It's always like I have to do it a lot to get good at something. And that's fine. I think that's how it is for a lot of people,
So when you were 10 years old and you went to your mom and then you found the agent, did you have like Amanda level parents where they're like, all right, we support that. Here we go. Let's do it. Or did you have Melissa level parents where they was like, I know you better sit your ass down somewhere.
No, they were very supportive. They were like, my mom, I'm probably going to talk to my mom on my podcast at some point about like what it was like to rear me and take me to everything. She was always taking me to all the auditions and had to like help me through learning how to be rejected like that as a young kid, and sort of be laughed out of rooms by casting directors as like a young kid and be like, that really hurts my feelings. And she had to kind of talk to me and be like, well, you can stop doing this if you want. Like, you don't need to do this. And they were very supportive. I think my dad, his concern was always just as I got closer and closer to adulthood, and became more and more clear that I wasn't backing down from this. It became a concern of like, I'm worried you're not going to be able to make this work financially. And for most of my adult life, he's been absolutely right about that. And I've had to, lean on help from other people and parse out where I'm getting my money from, and always be having 6, 7, 8 W-2s a year from different places to make ends meet. And it's only been the last couple of years of my life that I've like been able to start making this a little bit more financially viable. But yeah.
But you know what though? I think that the brokenness is fuel. I know it sounds terrible and nobody wants to hear that. But like the hardship and the rejection and the ramen noodles and the Honda Civic with no brakes, like all those things inform the person that you'll still be when you hit the place that you've always wanted to get to. So like all of that stuff was supposed to happen that way.
I think so. I wouldn't do it differently. I think that it happens how it happens. And I think that the reason why I'm where I'm at right now is just because of everything else that happened. So, whether it's alcoholism or whatever, it's like, not having money, living in dirty punk houses with way too many people living in the same house, and whatever it is, whatever kind of mayhem or chaos from my past, it all serves to create an artistic perspective and point of view and worldview and bring you to where you're at. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you said punk stuff, because Amanda and I were like, how are we going to get him to talk about that stuff that we want to be nosy about?
I have
What
to
kind of-
ask you,
Yeah.
were you or are you a Weird Al fan?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Because absolutely. I grew up with Running with Scissors and what's the one where he has the Coolio hair on the cover? I can't remember what that one's called, but
Is it Amish Paradise?
yeah, Amish Paradise, and
Okay, wow, I've just stepped my toe into you guys are vibing right now. I
Yeah.
love nerds. Go ahead.
Because I was also a Weird Al fan, like hardcore. I had the albums. I knew the songs. I probably sing all of the lyrics wrong to all of the songs that he's covered because, by and large, like, I know those songs because of Weird Al. And when I listen to you or I watch the things that you do, I feel like a very strong Weird Al, like, influence. And I don't know if it's because of the you don't parody things, but, like, his songs, his writing is so smart and I don't know. It's brilliant, I think.
You know
and
what?
so I see that.
You know what Weird Al taught me is how to land a joke musically, because and I talk about this when I collaborate with people on a funny song. If we have the first half of a rhyme and say the last word of the first half of the lyric is the word bell, I'll be like, cool. So we have an opportunity here to land the next half of this rhyme with a joke, and we should always put the joke on the landing rhyme. So he says, a local boy kicked me in the butt last week. I just smiled at him and I turned the other cheek. I really don't care. In fact, I wish him well, because I'll be laughing my butt off when he's burning in hell. And it's like, as a little kid, that was like so funny. That was like the funniest thing ever. Like, starting off like, I really don't care. In fact, I wish him well, because I'll be laughing my butt off when he's burning in hell. It's so funny to me. But it's the unexpected, like, I don't know what's coming next on the other half of that rhyme. And it's like such a like goofy little like sweet, tender joke. But I think he taught me how to structure musical joke writing. Yeah.
Very well, very well. I had to ask. Sorry, as I was asking that question, I don't know if you could see Melissa's face here, but it was like, where did this even come from?
Melissa, did you at least recognize the meter as being the same meter as Coolio's Gangster's
Paradise?
I get it completely, because my husband is also a Weird Al person, and he recently introduced all of it to our children, and some of it obviously in today's climate would not fly. So I was like, we can't really show them she's fat. And he was like, why can't we show it to him? It's just fucking hilarious. So like the second she said it, and then you guys started vibing. This is also, this is in my wheelhouse. I understand it. Amanda and I just had an episode where we fully invested in each other and understood the levels of nerd. So that's why I was like, oh, okay. So it's very exciting to know that you are also our people.
Yeah, very nerdy, for sure, and also very white. And I feel like, again, that's Weird Al, white and nerdy.
Yep.
Trying to catch me. Oh, white and nerdy.
White and nerdy. Yeah.
Yep, white and nerdy. So yeah.
How did you get started? I don't. Okay, this is two parts. Would you classify the things that you do as not activism, but like using your position to speak out against? I mean, you cover topics that are, by and large controversial or hot topics culturally. So did you always intend, or have you always used your art to lean in that direction? Or is it only recently that you feel like that's where you've gone?
I've always been very vocal on social media in support of causes that I think are important to me. I've always been like a very vocal supporter of like racial justice and feminism and LGBTQIA inclusion and dignity and rights and there's things that like these conversations that constantly come up in the zeitgeist that we just keep seeming to have. We keep circling back to like somehow we're talking about abortion again. Somehow we're talking about gay marriage again. Somehow we're talking about like whether or not there's a problem with racism in the police again. Like how do we keep having this conversation and we keep having the same arguments back and forth? I've always been very vocal on like Facebook and stuff like that with people trying to sincerely engage people in productive discourse, not just dunking on people and telling them that they're stupid, even though that's a lot of what I do. But trying to
that's
see
my
if
favorite.
I can,
That's my favorite.
you
That's
know,
my favorite.
yeah, and I've always been very active in that. But I think, I don't know, I didn't start the TikTok page thinking that that's what I was gonna do. Whenever it came to making comedic videos online, I always stayed in a very like safe lane because I never know like if I'm overstepping my bounds or if I'm speaking on something that I shouldn't be speaking on. And I'm also like so cautious of being like, what if I think I'm right about something? And this is a classic Austin Archer move, is being like super confident that I'm right about something and then like getting called out and being super wrong. And I that's happened to me many, many times in my life where I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure if I say this, I'm right on. And then I say it and I'm like really like snarky about it. And I'm like, or I've like misspelled a word in my argument. And it just like, it undoes the entire thing. It's like that video, and it's irking at me, that video where I responded to that girl, the you're not getting bullied, you're picking a fight, then losing that fight. I misspelled the word privilege in that video.
I know. I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah, and it's because of TikTok, because TikTok doesn't have like spell check on their, when you're putting text in on the app. And so you have to really be careful as you're writing. And it's not the first time that I've misspelled something in my TikTok captions, because we're so used to having our phone underline something if it's spelled incorrectly or just change it for us. And so we type really fast and you try to like reread what you wrote, but I misspelled the word privilege. And the other day, some troll was like, dumbass, Silver Lake hipster, transplant, can't even spell the word privilege. And I was like, God damn it. I was like, yeah, I guess I'm wrong about everything I ever said because I misspelled that word. You're right. But it's like, you have to be careful when you're going in hot and acting really confident. But I don't know. The TikTok thing happened sort of by accident. I had this page that was mostly just goofs and gaffs and was just me being silly. And then this guy popped up and response videos were kind of getting more popular in the algorithm, where people would like stitch people's videos and respond to them. And this guy popped up who I thought was just like repugnant. And I really felt like there's no way I can be wrong in just dunking on this dude and telling him that he's awful, because he was like a hookup artist who was teaching people like rape tactics. And I was like, yeah, I was like, you're a bad person. You should go to jail. And he was like talking about how he's had experiences where he hooked up with drunk girls and then they tried to say, and he would be like, he'd like put it in quotes. He'd be like, they try to lie and say that they didn't remember it. And I'm like, oh bro, you're admitting to rape right now. Like you need to go to jail. Like stop it. And so, oh my God, there's this Roomba in this house that kicks on, and it just kicked on and it scares the hell out of me. Now it's going to be loud in the background. But I'll finish this story really quick, and then I'm going to go turn this Roomba off. But I made a video saying that he should delete his account. It was a song where I was like, I think that it's time to delete your account. And I said that like that's one of the worst things I've ever seen. Go away. But I made it really fun and light, and that took off really well. And it like sort of revitalized my TikTok account. And then so for a little while after that, that was sort of like what I did, was I found really awful takes from people who I think are really misguided, and I responded to them in song form. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm going to turn this Roomba off. 1 second.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, that's his calling.
Absolutely. I was going to ask if he ever gets, like, if anybody ever responds like that blonde girl on You're Not Being Bullied.
Oh, hopefully their response is to just take their account down because he devastates people.
This thing, it's like trying to find its way to the dock right now, and it just got stuck. It's so stupid. Hold on. Okay. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I'm not used to being in rich people's homes who have robots running around hither and thither and making noise. So I apologize for that.
Get used to it.
Yeah.
This is us right now. Let's charge all our crystals and everybody in this room right now. Let's get this money, y'all. Get this money, y'all. Get this money, y'all. Get this money.
We'll all have robots in our homes soon.
So we
Sorry
were just
about that.
talking when you were going to put the robot back in its dock.
Uh-huh.
Do any of the people ever respond to you like you're not getting
Oh my god. I think it's doing the thing where it cleans the robot now.
It's also mad at you. It's like, how dare you? You're interrupting me. I live here, not you.
Oh my god. I've been saying this to people lately. My brother's house has so many things that make noise, and it's been so just like alarming constantly since I've been staying here. I came in and I'm like moving like some stuff in, and as I'm moving stuff in, I hear this voice going, "Ost," and I was like, "What?" And I'm like, because no one's supposed to be here. So I'm like, "What? Who?" And my brother's like, "I'm over here. I'm in the camera." And I'm like, "What?" And they have a camera in their kitchen, and he can see me from his vacation on his phone, and he's like talking to me. And I was like, "Okay, hi. Is it okay that I'm here?" And then like the whole time I've been here, there have been different like gizmos and gadgets that are kicking on and making noise. And
What kind of rich is your brother? Tech money rich? Sorry, I just asked a personalized question.
he's the president of a construction company that builds houses. So
he's real rich.
Okay.
yeah, so he does
Oh.
he does well, and he also flips homes. He flipped this house that I'm in. He reconstructed the entire thing. He's very good at that.
Do you have to be in LA to do your work? Or can you just be in one of your brother's flipped houses?
I know, right? He literally said that. He's like, I could like build like a really cool like tiny home for you and Mary. And I was like, it's definitely intriguing. But LA right now for like commercial work and stuff, yeah, it makes sense to be there. But we'll see.
Oh, because you have to physically have your trunk filled with all your little costume changes, and you go when they tell you to go.
Right, yeah.
And
yeah.
you're in the grind. Like you put the address in your little phone, and you go from place to place to place, and you hope that it's yes. And then 2 days later, you get a call. You can't remember which one it was. You got to remember that outfit that you put on.
Well, I mean, right now we're doing everything over Zoom, and we're doing self tapes, which is great, audition wise. But then if I book something, I need to be in town. You know, I guess. I'm literally coming out to Utah like every other month to do work. I do a lot of commercial work out here, so I guess it wouldn't be any different than like if I book a commercial in LA, I just drive out there to do the commercial and drive back. I guess it wouldn't technically be different. So maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll relocate. But for now, we still
Is your
have.
girlfriend also an actor or in the entertainment business?
She is. She's an actor, and she's also a writer. Since we moved to Los Angeles, she's written 2 books, and she's working on a 3rd right now. And yeah, she's something else. She's really, really a great writer, and it's so impressive to watch her. She sits down and writes 1,500 words every single day. It's like really impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a different brain that can do that.
Yeah.
Like, she's not a normal, regular person. You probably are living with a genius.
Might be. Yeah.
What does she write?
She writes fantasy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Look at Amanda's little gargoyle collection, her little pewter fairy collection just lit up behind her. Amanda is alive right now. She's like, what kind of fantasy?
What kind? Yeah, that's literally my next question. What kind of fantasy?
It's like standard issue stuff. Like it's like magic and fae people, and she's got this whole world that she created for this series that has like different clans and races of creatures and people, and the world building I think is really, really impressive, and the prose is really great. She's just like a really great writer. She's been writing this series of fairy tales that are like short fairy tales, and she reads one of them live on my podcast in an episode called Fairy Tales, and it's like gorgeous. Everyone that listened to that episode was always like, they'd reach out to me and be like, I was crying listening to that. Like, she wrote this really beautiful allegory about depression, and she's just a very gifted writer. Amanda, I was gonna say, what are some of your favorite fantasy novels or series that you're reading right now?
Oh God. Well, right now I'm actually reading How to Find Your Psychic Gifts.
Okay. All right.
So that's just my own personal fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like what is it? Mortal Weapons. It's a YA series. I think it's 3 books. It's been a long time since I've read that. I think I read that back in like 2010.
They
love
did a
that.
movie.
They did. They did. I just watched, Netflix just released a series called Winx, and it is about fairies. It's these fairy teenagers, and they're all going to this like boarding school, and
is it good?
follows. It's phenomenal. It's so fucking good.
Oh,
Like,
Mary will love that.
you should totally tell her. And your girlfriend looks like she could be sisters with the lead character.
Okay, all right, she'll love that.
Beautiful redhead. She's a fire fairy, but yeah, I just I love all of that. Literally, like our last episode, Melissa found out in our Monday Night Live that I am down with LARPing and a Renaissance festival, and that I had a robust collection of pewter fairies as a child, as a teenager. Not a child. I was a teenager. So I'm going to need the in when these books are like ready to be published, because I will buy them all.
That's really cool to hear. I was like hoping that you would say, because she likes these books by Sarah J. Maas, this series, and then she also likes this series that Netflix is making a series of. It's coming out right now, called Shadow and Bone. That's coming out that I think looks really good. But so there's so much in the world of fantasy. There's like so much to dig into. But you two seem like kindred spirits, because she's also into like learning about like witchy things and psychic things, and she's very into reading her tarot, and yeah.
My heart is swelling over here, Amanda. I just have to say that every time, because like Austin, what you have to know is, and it's hard to explain to people, is we truly are strangers. So we had recorded 39 whole episodes, and I did not ever pick up or get a clue that she would. I don't even know. But the second I was like, so wait, you're down with LARPing? It just like my whole world view of her opened right up, and I was like, this is going to change everything. This is going to change everything, because I'm so excited about this.
I think it's important and healthy to have a good stable of things that you really care about, that you're willing to get into like passionate discussions about, that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, so we all have like, we're overloaded with like actually important things to care about, like climate change and just like poverty and social progress, and we have lots of things that we actually need to care about that are really important. But I think it's important also to have your like things that you care about that don't actually like move the needle on like how the world is going. But I care about like superhero movies and sports, like I like sports a lot, and I think most people who know me like are always surprised when they find out how much of a sports head I am, because I don't seem like a sportsy guy, but
at all.
Yeah, but I really like the NBA, and I really like college football, and it's like weird, I don't know why, but I get super into it, and I know like
a layered king.
Yeah, like
wow.
I think you gotta have your things that you like nerd out on, that sort of it's nice to get like deep into it and passionate about it, because you also know like this isn't such a heavy thing that like will hurt my heart when I go on a deep dive into it, you know? Yeah.
No, and that's why I was sitting here saying to Amanda, like watching her, like just listening to your whole conversation. I'm laid back in the cut, watching you be you. So the second you were like, there's a little bit of shame in a 40-year-old, I was like, no, there ain't.
No, it's just like when you watch like young adult, like I love young adult fiction. And, I think that it or even young adult fantasy, I think it's not so much about the genre. It's like, as an adult, like I should be reading adult books, but I just really love.
What? Well, what? No, you don't. What's an adult book? What does that even mean?
I don't know.
You should be reading the stuff that brings you joy, and it does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, I'm a grown-ass woman that was once an ambassador for Hello Kitty, and there's so much information I have about Hello Kitty. I could talk about Hello Kitty for hours.
I know nothing about Hello Kitty.
Well,
I know what it
what
looks like.
Kitty weighs the same as 3 apples?
We're not supposed to tell him the answers. You got to ask the question and then blow his mind with
the
answer.
actual kitty weighs the same as 3 apples?
Well, first of all, what do you think Hello Kitty is? You think she's a cat? You think she's a person? What do you think she is?
I didn't know that she was a she. I thought Hello Kitty was I guess it is a she because of the bow, but I just know Hello Kitty as a Japanese brand. Like, that's all I know, really.
Okay. Well, I mean, actually, it's smarter to say Japanese brand than it is to say cat, because she's not a cat. Hello Kitty is actually an institution. That's not what Sanrio says. That's what I say. Hello Kitty is an institution, a way of life, a lifestyle. And if you don't like her, okay, cool, being weird.
This is what I'm talking about.
Do you know what Hello Kitty's twin sister's name is?
No.
Because she has a twin sister. What's her name, Amanda?
Mimi Kitty.
Oh, okay.
Well, we call her Mimi.
Oh, I thought she was Mimi.
Well, that's how it's spelled, but we say Mimi. What color is her bow?
I think so. Okay, what color is Hello Kitty's bow, or what color is Mimi's bow?
Well, everybody knows what color Hello Kitty's bow is.
Hello Kitty's bow is pink, right?
Wrong. Oh my God! Let's dial tone, Amanda. Enter the dial tone.
I have an image in my head of a white cat face with a pink bow right here, and that's wrong.
Very wrong.
It's not pink.
Is it
wait,
yellow?
Wait. When you said pink bow right here, did you say it to the middle or did you cock it to the side?
It's on the side,
okay,
right?
yes, correct. But what color? The bow is not yellow. However, Mimi's bow is yellow and it's on the opposite side.
Okay. All right.
Now, what do you know Hello Kitty's zodiac sign?
No.
I mean, it's crazy that I do love her as much as I do because our signs are completely incompatible. She's a Scorpio.
Oh.
We'll let that go.
Okay.
Do you know why Hello Kitty doesn't have a mouth?
No. Is it sad?
No, it's beautiful. It's
Okay.
beautiful. Hello Kitty doesn't have a mouth because she doesn't need one. She speaks from the heart.
Okay. All right. That's lovely. I like that.
Except in like the 80s cartoons, because she does have a mouth and she talks. I have the Hello Kitty fairy tales on DVD, and she does have a mouth there.
True Hello Kitty heads, I don't like that voiceover work. It was wrong, and that's not how I imagined it in my head. So
No.
I bought those DVDs too and was like, this ain't gonna work.
This is not canon.
This is a bastardization.
This is not
bastardization.
canon. I denounce this.
Yes. Let's see. Do you know where she's from?
From Japan?
No. Interestingly, she's not.
Where's
This
she
motherfucker is from London.
She's from London?
Yes.
I feel like I have an image in my head now of a Hello Kitty, and maybe this is just a version of Hello Kitty, but I feel like I have an image in my head of a Hello Kitty with a bow that has what's it called? The London flag.
The Union Jack.
Yeah, the Union Jack as a bow. Is there a...
Well, I mean, that's a thing for sure. That's a thing. But there's a Hello Kitty. Their branding is universal and crazy and ubiquitous. So like, if you can think of it, Hello Kitty has done it. Like in my household, I've actually gotten, and I just love saying this out loud, legendary New York hardcore Justin Beck from Glassjaw only uses Hello Kitty toilet paper. That's a fun fact. He's like, yo, it's perfect. It's like soft but also rough. So like whatever they do to put Hello Kitty on, it's like it can, you know what I'm saying? Like it has a good texture. He's like, I love it. He's like, don't come back in here with that red brand Charmin that you grew up with because it's too soft. Like something's going on in there. It's a lot.
See, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like everyone needs like they're like obviously we all need to care about the real things and the earth and about all how we're doing as a society, but then we all need our thing to care about that is important to us, that we feel like means something in the world, but the other people are like, I have no idea what that even is and why a person would even care about that. And you're like, that's fine. I care about it, and I'm that person who cares about it.
Oh,
so.
you know, over the years, I can't believe, how are you a grown-ass woman and you love Hello Kitty? And I say to myself, I feel so sad for you that you don't love her.
Well, it's like, no, it's like, you know, like with college football, it's like I will catch myself and go, you know, there was a time in my life when I was a 12 or 13-year-old boy, and these guys on this team that I like, they were adults. They were like big men that I looked up to, and they were grown men. And now they're all kids. They're all younger than me, and it's weird that as an adult, I'm still so emotionally invested in what these kids are doing fresh out of high school on this field. And I get into debates about it, and I argue with people about like strategies. And I even think about this about the NBA. Like all the time I'll catch myself watching the NBA and going, I'm older than most of these guys. Like most of these guys are 22, 23, 24 years old. And I still see them in my head as like adult men they're older than me. They're bigger figures than me. But it's like, it's weird to care about that so much. But I don't think that trying to analyze why you care about it makes much sense. It's just like, you just do, you know?
You just
No,
like what you
know.
like.
Yeah.
Correct. I know.
Do you, because you know, from your videos, from your, I mean, your fucking handle is called Your Pal and your podcast is called People Pleaser. Do you find that like you're able to diffuse really terrible people on social media with the things that you post, or do you get a lot of like hate DMs for your videos?
I don't get nearly as much hate as a lot of people that I follow do. Certainly not as much hate as any of the women that I follow get. All the women that I follow that just make like funny videos. Not even videos where they're like dunking on someone or like clapping back at someone. Women on the internet, if they're trying to be funny or assert themselves at all, it's just like there's going to be a deluge of insecure men who are frustrated that woman won't look their way, that feel like they need to get in the comments and say some awful shit. And I don't know how we get to a point where that's not happening. It's so baffling to me every time I see it. It's like, how are you in a headspace where you think this is okay? But I do get some. And I think if I got more, I would be able to ignore it easier. But since I only get it every so often, it's like hard for me not to engage when it crops up, because I'm like, oh wow, you came out here with that, huh? And I don't try to engage people who are just being trolls in like a discussion. I don't try to like change their mind or anything, but I do try to like lightly troll them back. It's fun for me to I like saying okay to people and watching them like keep going. It's really fun to just go, okay. And then they say like another really long thing, and then just right underneath it, okay. And then they say a really long thing, and I go, all right. And I like just giving like one word responses and just like having them like keep like saying awful stuff and being like, okay then. As far as being able to diffuse people, I used to think that I was like pretty good at having difficult conversations with people that I disagree with and like coming to some kind of understanding. I think more and more it's becoming more difficult for me and taxing in a way that I'm not as open to. I think I was more open to it in the past because I was fine feeling awful, and like those conversations do make me feel bad, and I was kind of okay with like feeling gross for several days in a row and just being mad at someone actively and being like, I'm going to show them. And I'm not really okay with that anymore. I don't like having that energy in me and sitting in my body for several days. So I can't do it as much as I used to be able to do it. And but I do have people reach out to me who I know disagree with me, who will say like, hey, that song was funny. And they won't say that they agree with me, but they'll be like, that was funny. And that's nice, to hear.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
And you didn't block them?
Yeah, I don't block people. I don't report people. I don't block people, but that's also again a privilege that I have because I'm not getting like really, really like illegal things said to me, and a lot of people are getting like really scary things. So this guy scared me the other day. He was like trying to figure out where I lived, and he was like saying stuff like I just really, really want to run into you in public so I can like hurt you. And I just sort of like responded to him, and I was like, because it was really interesting. He was saying simultaneously, he was being like, no, because I was doing the okay thing. I was going like, okay. And he was going simultaneously, he was saying, no, I really am trying to genuinely understand your point of view. And he was also saying, I want to meet up with you and hurt you. And so I responded to him, and I was like, okay, listen. I was like, you sound like a really hurt person. So I'm going to try to get through to you with this. I said, if you genuinely want to understand my point of view, like if you genuinely want to have a conversation, I actually would be open to doing that. But you can't come to a person and say, I want to have a sincere conversation and try to see if we can reach a place of understanding and say, I want to meet up with you so I can physically harm you. Because I'm not ever going to engage with such clearly unhealthy behavior. And no reasonable person is going to engage with that. And I said, I don't necessarily believe that you do want to have a sincere conversation with me, but giving you the benefit of the doubt, if you do want to have a sincere conversation, you can't come with that energy of like, I also want to curb stomp you. We can't have both of those things existing at the same time. These people are very angry, and they're very, afraid and hurt. And it's a dangerous place to be in. That's how you get people like Elliot Rodger and stuff is really angry, hurt people who aren't open to compassionate reconciliation or discourse.
Yeah, and then they put themselves in those weird, evil echo chambers where their flawed ideas are reinforced, and they really truly believe that shit, and then they want to have a girlfriend. You're like, but
yeah, exactly. it's the nice guy thing. It's I'm a nice guy, how come no one likes me? Reaching out to a woman, trying to be a nice guy, and then she says thank you but no thank you, and then you go on a awful tirade of toxic sewage spewing awful. It's like, cool. So the fact that you can't see that you're not a nice person and that you're not doing nice things, you can't just be nice because there's a reward at the end of being nice. You can't just be nice with the expectation of receiving some kind of prize in exchange for your kindness. And people, they really don't understand that. But that's also, I really try to view these people as not well.
What are you, is there like anything that you're currently working on or working toward in your career that that we could like support you in or that we should know about?
I like this year I started like this, I didn't start, this other person started it and invited me into it. A company where me and a few other creators are like working with brands and doing all that. So it's a whole new career path in that vein, and that's really cool and exciting. But that's more kind of like what I'm doing for money. But like what I'm probably every year I have like a big project, and then I have lots of little projects. And the big project this year is I'm trying to begin the process of getting funding for this movie I'm trying to get made. And we shot the first 15 minutes of it in December as a proof of concept. And so we're sort of putting that together with a pitch deck to try to get funding for it. But that's sort of like the big project that might take 2, 3, 4, 5 years, who knows. But I'm trying to just keep momentum behind that. And then I've always got like more music coming out. Like there's going to be a lot of musical projects this year that I'm excited about. And that stuff's relatively easy at this point. The movie's the thing that I'm most like, if you could keep a positive intention out there for me and this team that's trying to get this movie made, because it's the thing that I like haven't done before. And I feel very much so like I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to get this amount of money together. I've never had to get this amount of money together before in my life, and I don't know what the process is like. But I also know that people who are less capable than I have done it before and many times. And so I believe that we can get it done. I believe in the script. I believe in what's driving the script and what's driving the desire to get it made. And I think it's a matter of time before we get it made. But it's still like we're so early in the process that it just feels like we're still just dreaming. But I believe in it, and I think we will get it made.
Oh, that's exciting.
And we will be here to consume all your stuff when you get it made. Like I believe in you, man. I really do.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then we'll be able to be like, hey, remember when your pal Austin Archer was on our podcast?
No, turn that thing on Netflix. I'm telling you, I knew him. Bitch, I have the audio. I knew him. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what's gonna be.
You can watch me on Netflix right now if you want. You can go watch.
Where?
I'm in a movie called The Night Clerk that's on Netflix, and I'm also in the show Mindhunter that's on Netflix. So you can go watch.
I started Mindhunter. What episode?
Episode 4 of season 1. The main characters.
What's your line?
They get in a car accident with this guy with a mustache, and we get out of the car, and the big guy goes like, Jesus Christ, like, what's the hell's the matter with you? And I'm like, you turned without looking. And we get in this big fight, and I tell him I'm going to call the cops, and he says he is the cops, and I'm like, well, you can't do that. You were in the wrong. And we get in a fight, and that's the scene. So.
Oh, you was getting your act on. Okay.
Yeah.
Because, see, what's going to happen is for this episode, I'm going to pull that scene and put it in the interactive story. See, that's what you don't know. That's the danger of the fans you just got. Yeah. I'm going to just find all your little random shits. Bitch, I knew him when he was in that scene. That car accident scene, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And then there's a movie called The Night Clerk on Netflix that has Ty Sheridan and John Leguizamo and Ana de Armas and Helen Hunt in it. And it was really cool. I got to do a bunch of scenes with John Leguizamo, and like when you're working with people like that, it's like you don't like. I have to really act like he's not who he is to me when we're doing that, because I want him to have a normal day at work, and I want him to have a normal time doing the scene. But it is like this constant thing of sitting there going like, today my job is doing this scene with this guy who has been such a big part of my upbringing and my childhood, and who has been on my TV my whole life, and we're sitting in this room like doing this scene and like working out the beats together, and he's like asking me, he's like does that make sense to you? Do you think that that's the right way? And I'm like yeah, I think that that's a good move.
Inside
John,
whole body is
whole
like
time time buttholes clenched, you want to die, you can't take it, this is amazing.
Honestly, it is a thing that I go back to as validation for doing what I do. There's this moment of my first day shooting with him where we did the scene back and forth a couple times, and then he thought I wasn't looking because the audio person was fixing my microphone, and I was looking at them, and I kind of glanced over at him, and he looked at the director, and he pointed at me, and he went, he's really good. And he pointed at me and kind of went like that, but like he like mouthed it like, he's really good. And I saw it, and I was like, dude, John Leguizamo doesn't have to do that. he doesn't have to say that to anyone. He doesn't think I'm looking at him right now when he says that. And then at the end of that first day, we were walking back to our trailers together, and I was like, hey, that was really fun. And he was like, dude, no, it was really solid, really good work, you know, like,
Aww.
but like I knew that he wasn't just being nice because I saw him do the thing that he didn't think I saw earlier. And I hold on to that because it's
as you should.
It's John Leguizamo.
As you should, because it's validation in your pocket. You can archive that little piece of your day and pull it out, and
oh my God,
it's aspirational.
Yeah.
Inspirational, all that shit. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. I have a soft spot in my heart for John Leguizamo too, especially since when I was on The Real World, I cut my hair and looked just like him. But but I do love him, and I love his work. I love all his one woman show. His one man show is brilliant. Just all his stuff. As a writer, I think is his. That's where the magic happens with that guy. I
have to remind myself now because like he'll be on like a podcast that I really like. Like he was on Mark Maron's show, and I'll be like listening to him, and I have to like remind myself like, you met this dude, like you worked with this dude, you know, like as I'll be listening, I'll be like, oh man, John Leguizamo was cool, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I did like 4 days on set with this guy. Like,
yeah, like he knows your name.
I don't think
if he saw you in a room, he'd be like, "Hey, man, what's up? What's going on?"
I don't think he would remember my name, but he might remember my face. You know.
Yes, he would. Because yes, he would. Yes, he would. I lived in LA long enough to know the people you don't think know the moves you're making. They know exactly. They know your face. They know your name. They know how to find you if they wanted to. So believe that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Dave Chappelle knows who I am, so I'm just saying.
Hell yeah.
Anything can happen.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I wasn't going to say it, but I was going to say if you told me that you were John Leguizamo's sister, I would be like, oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. And like the way he can contort his face, there are things that he could do that my face does, and all the time I'm just like, how am I going to really look like John Leguizamo? I love him though, so it works out, and I think he's very cute, so it works out.
Yeah, I mean, you don't look like him. You look like you could be a family member, you know, like. And
I'm one of those people. If I had to, I would lie and say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's my cousin. Dude, I'll call him right now. What are you talking about?
Oh man, awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and spending this. I mean, I really have had a very good, inspiring, creative 1 hour with you, sir.
Thank you. I really, really do appreciate you having me on. It's been great to get to know the two of you, and I appreciate all the nice things that you said about me when you were on my show and that you continued to say about me now here doing your show.
We have a community of listeners. They are amazing. We call them our stranger friends. And if they would like to find you, why don't you go ahead and tell them your podcast, your Instagram, your TikTok, all of that.
Yeah.
So that they can consume all of the Austin Archer goodness.
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter is yourpal_Austin. That's the name on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And then I've got a website, austin-archer.com, that has all of my music and acting whatnots on there. And you can purchase my music at austinarchermusic.bandcamp.com. You can also find my music on Apple Music or Spotify by searching Austin Archer. My podcast is called People Pleaser with Austin Archer. YouTube, you can follow me. It's just Austin Archer. Yeah, all the places.
Thank you, as always, for listening to Imperfect Strangers podcast. And thank you to Austin Archer for being a fantastic guest for the show.
Thank you, Austin.
So kind, so funny. So guys, if you liked today's interview with Austin and you would like to hear us speak with him on his podcast called People Pleaser with Austin Archer, you can head over to wherever you listen to podcasts, search People Pleaser with Austin Archer.
Amanda, I think we put it in our link tree too.
We did.
So if you want to just hop on over to our link tree and click right on Austin's shit.
Yes. In the meantime, if you would like to support Imperfect Strangers podcast, rate, review, and subscribe this podcast. It helps others to see us, and it helps them to know that it's something worth listening to if you enjoy it. You can find us on Instagram, imperfectstrangers_podcast, on Twitter, @imperfstrangers. We have a website, www.imperfectstrangerspodcast.com. We have a Patreon.
We sure do.
Where you get all kinds of good stuff. Bonus content, Monday Night Lives, an amazing newsletter, if I do say so myself. And we actually have a brand new newsletter coming out here within the next couple days. So you can find us at patreon.com/imperfectstrangerspodcast. We have merch. You can find that on our website. And what else? Am I missing something?
I think you got it all.
All right. Well, in the meantime, you guys, join us on Monday night at 7 o'clock for a Monday Night Live. We will have Austin Archer with us.
Yeah, baby.
On that live. Hopefully he's wearing a turtleneck and a blazer.
Oh,
yeah. And I guess that's it. Wear your mask, wash your hands. We'll see you guys soon.
Nice. Bye.
Bye.